All right, we're good. Excellent. Hi, I'm really excited for today's training. Happy Friday to you. I hope it's been a good week. Here we are at the end of March, which is just wild to think about. End of Q1, heading into Q2. Maybe with a little bit of uncertainty. I know that there's some chatter and some concerns around the economy and slowdowns and caseloads and things like that. And so I'm coming here today with hopefully some encouragement. And if nothing else, some solidarity with you to let you know you're not alone, and that we're here to support you in the midst of these questions and uncertainties, and to also let you know that success is possible in the midst of all of that. This is a bit of a divergent, but as I've thought a little bit about and talked to clients this month and thought about the economy and all of those kinds of things, obviously we're all hearing about that. The main thing I keep coming back to is the fact that your marketing is more important potentially than it's ever been, and it's going to get even more important than it's ever been. And so you're like, what you're doing right now, watching this video, investing in your marketing, focusing on it, that is what's going to serve you well, regardless of what happens. This is the time to be actually investing and improving your marketing so that you have a system and a process that is going to serve you, no matter quote unquote what happens. Maybe nothing will happen, but the fact is, equipping yourself for success is never a bad idea, and that's exactly what we're here to help you do. So there's my little spiel. But anyway, if you haven't met me before, if we haven't met, I'm Anna. I'm really happy that you're here. We're nearing the 10,000 member mark, which is just crazy. And so I know that there are some new faces. And if that's you, hi, I'm really happy you're here. And if your goal is to build a successful private practice, then you're in the right place. And that's exactly what we're here to help you do. If you are joining me live, would you say hello in the comments? Like I said, just like this video, let me know that you can see and hear me. Let me know where you're joining from. Usually we manage to cover all the time zones here. If you're catching the replay, which is perfectly fine, maybe you weren't able to join us live, maybe you just joined the group and this is a 3-year-old video. Hi, click or type hashtag replay into the comments for me. I'm always happy to come back and answer questions, even if it's been a bit. So wonderful. Hi, Jen. Howdy from Dallas. Christopher. Hello from New York City. Wonderful. Happy Friday to each of you. New Jersey. Jillian, okay, you're new and you can see and hear me. Check, check, check. Wonderful. Oh, and Belinda, always joining from London. Belinda, good evening, I guess, to you. Thanks for being here. Alrighty, so today we're talking about the 4 things that my most successful clients are doing. Now, I have supported over 1,000 clinicians in their marketing in various capacities, which is a crazy number to say out loud. And I have really stayed in touch with what's working and what's not. I am constantly revisiting the processes that I use, the strategies that I teach, the approach that I take in supporting clinicians to make sure that what we're doing is actually turning into results. And so as I look at those, hundreds of clinicians that I've supported, more than a couple, quite a few of them rise to the surface. And some of them are experiencing a lot of success. And success, I really want to acknowledge, is different for everyone. This isn't necessarily, the client that I've supported that has raised their fees to $300+ an hour. Not necessarily. Success for some people, some of the most successful clients that I am drawing on as I put together this training are the clients that started their practice 3 months ago and are starting to see regular referrals come in. These are the clients who are deciding to bring on an associate and scale into a group. These are clients who are just going private pay or perhaps raising their fees or limiting their number of sliding scale to create the income and meet the income goals that they have for themselves. I just want to acknowledge that success looks different for everyone. But there are themes. Regardless of what success is looking like for an individual clinician, there are themes that I see happen for those people that are experiencing success and traction and growth in their practice. And so whatever your goal may be, whether that's simply to launch or that's to scale or that's to XYZ, I feel very confident that if you're doing these 4 things, you're going to be in a really good position to experience those things and to reach those goals. I do want to note that all of the clients that I am referencing here have used my 4-step process in some way. Some of the clients that experience amazing success use my DIY course, the Fill Your Practice Formula, which is the lowest investment, like 100% DIY style course. And guess what? They have full private pay practices. A lot of these clinicians that I'm reflecting on went through Confident Copy, which is my group coaching marketing mentorship program, where we support you in figuring out what your niche is and getting your website copy written in a way that's client and Google friendly. And then some of these clinicians are also ones that we've worked with in a one-on-one capacity, where I have written or designed their websites for them, and they've really started to see traction from that. So that's just what I want to share with you. Like, this isn't just one particular thing. These aren't the people that paid, X amount of money for us to work together in a one-on-one setting. Like, some of these people invested a couple $100s and made it happen. So I want you to know that that's true too, but they are all operating from the same fundamental strategy that we talk about in this group. And that really guides the work that I do with clinicians. So like I said, reflecting on these clinicians that are the most successful, and you'll note that the title of this is what my most successful clients are doing. Not have always done and are just done and they checked the box, but these are something that they're actively doing. Marketing is a process. The goal is absolutely that we establish a system that starts to operate on its own, but it doesn't mean that it runs on its own. It doesn't mean it doesn't still need you engaged in some way, shape, or form. So anyone tells you that you can just do something and, click a button and switch it on and it's going to work, I think that's unfair and unrealistic. So even the most successful clinicians around you are still engaged in their marketing, which is one of the themes here that you'll see. So please do know that. The other thing I want to share before I dive in is, if I'm going through this and you have questions, you're here live, you get to ask questions, or you're here with the replay, drop a hashtag replay in your question. And at the end of this, these 4 points, I will take some time to answer those. So if you're wondering about how this applies to your practice, or you have specific questions, I would love nothing more than to answer those for you. So the very first thing that is a common theme, a red thread, if you've been around this community for a while, it's one of my favorite, not threads, one of my favorite phrases, red thread. One of the biggest themes I see in my most successful clients is they have a clear niche. Now, maybe you're like, I knew you were going to say that. And maybe you're like, oh, wow, what's a niche? Is this whole niching thing actually necessary? The answer is yes. And what I want to caveat this with is that these clinicians have clear niches. They don't necessarily all have super narrow niches. Some of them do. Some of them are highly specialized in a very particular modality or approach, or demographic or something like that. Some of these are fairly general. They like to do a lot of different types of things, but they've still put words to it. If you are new here, if you're not new here, and if you're not new here, I want you to hear that a niche is not about being about narrow or broad. It is about putting words to the work you do best. If the work you do best is a variety of things and working with a variety of different people and offering a variety of services or whatever, you can still have a profitable niche. What's happening here is every single one of these clinicians that are experiencing this level of success have gotten clear on what that is. And the other and here is that because of that clear niche, they have deep, deep messaging. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean, when you land on their website, you know who they're talking to. When you see their Psychology Today profile, they are calling in a very particular type of person, and they are blessing and releasing those that are not. These are people that are unafraid of repelling or turning away clients that aren't the right fit for them, because they've gotten so laser focused on the clients who are. When you have a clear niche, that's deep messaging is what happens after that. Deep messaging is where you get to be really specific about the types of challenges that your client faces, the type of anxiety that you like to work with. Deep messaging allows you to be specific about that so that your ideal clients see themselves in that copy, and the panic disorders or the type of anxiety you don't enjoy doesn't fit. That's what happens with really, really clear niche. And so all of these clients know who they are, and they can put words to the work that they do best. And they know their ideal clients better than anyone else. They know exactly who they're trying to call in with their marketing. And that flows through in everything that they do. That's the cool thing about having a really clear niche, is that it impacts your website. Obviously, we talk about that here all the time. It's your number one marketing tool. But it also impacts their Psych Today. It also impacts their networking conversations. I'll often hear from clinicians like, oh my gosh, networking has gotten so much easier because I know how to describe the work that I do, and I know how to say who I work with. And all of a sudden that gets easier, and they become more memorable to people, and therefore they receive better fit referrals. It really does flow into everything that they do in their marketing. So yes, do you need a niche? You absolutely do. Do you need a niche where you have to exclude groups of people you love to work with? Absolutely not. What we need to do is we need to put words to the work that you do best. And if we can do that, then you will be well on your way to this deep messaging and this really, really resonant marketing that turns into people literally saying, I knew you were the therapist for me. I read your website and I felt like you were talking to me. I feel like you're in my brain. Like, we want to hear those types of sentiments from clients. And that is what these clinicians are experiencing on a regular basis, which is really one of the coolest feelings ever, for words that you wrote to resonate with those clients that you love to work with. So these folks, they have a clear niche and they have deep messaging as a result of it. And it ends up simplifying all the rest of their marketing too. Now, second, when I look at my most successful clients across all of these different types of offers and across all these different types of areas, some of these are in saturated California, some of them are in Arkansas and Oklahoma and a bit more rural areas. This is really important. These clinicians aren't getting distracted. These clinicians, if you ask them how they've marketed themselves, pretty short list. They are not getting distracted by what I call shiny object syndrome. They are not stretching themselves thin across a bunch of social media platforms and trying to blog and trying to do this and that and the other thing. They have just a couple things in their back pocket and they are staying committed to those. We talk about that a lot here in this group, that I've seen this be true, certainly in my own business and most definitely in the practices of the clinicians that I support, that if you can do just a couple of things with excellence, that is going to serve you so much better and end up in more and more results than if you spread yourself thin and do a bunch of things just okay. And that's what these clinicians are doing. Like, I see the fruits of this focus and of this commitment time and time again. And here's what I want to tell you. These clinicians, this is when it really matters. These clinicians aren't getting distracted. These clinicians are staying committed to their couple of things, even when the slowdowns happen, even when referrals kind of slow down a little bit. Maybe they haven't gotten any in a couple of weeks. These clinicians are not getting distracted. I could do an entire training on this, and I probably should, on this idea of slowdowns and what does that mean? And oh my gosh, is my marketing not working and that kind of thing. These clinicians are not immune to that. You're going to experience ebbs and flows, even when you are fully booked at nirvana level private practice. Those are still going to happen. It's what you do with them that kind of determines your success. And it's easy when you experience a slowdown to panic and to feel like, oh my gosh, this isn't working. Maybe I need to add this and this and this and this and this. And it can be crazy making. These clinicians, I see them do it because I'll talk to them in the middle of a slowdown. They'll be stressed and I'll say, hey, this has worked before. It can work again. It does not mean that it's not worth revisiting or keeping an eye on, but because these folks have committed themselves to just a couple of strategies, just a couple of ways to grow their practice, if things slow down, they know exactly where they can return to. They know exactly what they can work on improving or optimizing. They know exactly what numbers they need to look at or what things they need to do in order to pull the levers they need to pull in order to increase those inquiries. They also recognize that these slowdowns happen. So that's a bonus one for you. That wasn't even on my list of 4, but they understand this is going to happen and they don't let those deter them. So staying focused, not getting distracted, even when those slowdowns happen. Marketing does not just stop working overnight. And these clinicians know that. And so they're committed to a very short list of things. Most of my clinicians focus on SEO and having a really strong website, directories, including Psych Today and other ones relevant to their niche, having a strong network, and maybe one other strategy like Instagram. A lot of my clinicians don't like to be on social media, and so they choose not to. Some choose to blog. That's the short list. These folks are not doing a million things to grow their practice. They're focusing on just a couple, and they're committed to doing those with excellence. And the fruits of that are incredible. Next, when I look at what these clients are doing, they are staying in their zone of genius. And this is a difficult thing because especially when you're early on in your practice, like, you have to wear so many hats. You're the clinician, you're the biller, you're the admin, you're the marketer, you're the salesperson, like, you're all these things, right? And these clinicians, while they can wear all those hats, they also have recognized where their zone of genius stops and where they might need to bring on support. Support might look like coaching. Support might look like working with someone one-on-one. Support might look like a course. Support might look like automating their, a part of their business. Using simple practices, self-scheduling, that lifts a burden for some folks. But these folks are realizing that just because they could do everything doesn't mean they should. In terms of marketing, that's often why they choose to invest in, Confident Copy as a coaching program, or one of my templates to, the whole website tech and design thing to sort of alleviate that burden. But these folks are allowing themselves the space to do the work that they love to do. It's really easy to get bogged down by all the other non-therapy parts of being a therapist. And as a practice owner, you're never going to be able to rid yourself of all of those. But as I look at what these clinicians, like the help that they're bringing on, the resources that they seek out, they know where their passions and their zone of genius stops, and then they're willing to fill that gap in another way. Some folks choose to bring on a virtual assistant. These don't also always have to be paid things. Like I said, sometimes it's just automating or paring down the marketing strategies they're engaging with, or whatever that is, so that they can just stay focused where they like to be. You might be here and hate social media. You don't have to use social media. Maybe that's not your zone of genius. It's not where you show up. Don't do it. So these clinicians are staying really authentic to themselves and their skill set. And when they recognize a gap between where they are or who they are and where they want to be, they find something to fill that gap, as opposed to overextending themselves. Like I said, that can be a lot of different things. That can be a virtual assistant, that can be a course, that can be software, that can be whatever it is. Sometimes it is just dropping a strategy and choosing not to engage in it, but they're staying in their zone of genius, which is sort of similar to this idea of not getting distracted. And sort of similar to the idea of a niche. They know the work they love to do. They don't get distracted from, by doing things that don't align with it. And they end up feeling really authentic in their marketing as a result. So they're staying in their zone of genius. They're bringing on support or resources to fill those gaps in their practice, to allow them to really show up to the therapy room as fully as they can. Not to say that you can't do that if you're stretched thin, but it sure is a lot more fun to do the work when you're doing just the work you enjoy. And so that's something I've noticed as well. The last thing I will share with you, and this is particularly specific to the full fee folks that have been really successful using my processes, but is true for folks that are paneled and take insurance as well. They are cultivating relationships. I have yet to meet a fully booked private pay clinician that isn't well connected. This is where I was sort of referencing at the beginning, marketing doesn't just happen on its own. Yes, we can build a system that starts to run in the background on autopilot, but it does still require your investment of time, energy, and things like that. And one of the biggest places you need to be investing time and energy is in relationships. If you're here and you're an introvert, or the idea of networking is just like scary to you, I really want to remind you that as a clinician, you know how to create and build relationships. You know how to do that. That is a natural gift of yours. And you've also been trained in how to do it, right? This is simply about making connections and cultivating relationships. You can choose to do that in whatever way you want. Some of these clinicians do actually do, like some of the ones I'm thinking about do actually do like boots on the ground, like networking. They do speak with physicians and things like that. A lot of them use Facebook. A lot of them send a private message to clinicians that they've interacted with on Facebook to form a deeper connection, or they put out an in search of referral request in a group like mine, or a geographic group like a New York City group or whatever, and they form connections that way. But they are curious about other people's work, and because they know how to talk about the work that they do, because they have that clear niche. Talking to other clinicians, making those connections feels really natural, because they know exactly who they're the right fit for, and they're able to then refer not right fit people to this list of people that they've formed relationships with. The most successful clinicians that I've worked with are regularly investing in cultivating relationship in the way that feels right for them. You can network in a lot of different ways. You can grow connection in a lot of different ways. And so it doesn't just have to be in like the one stereotypical, way. You can do it in a lot of different ways, but the fact is it needs to happen. You can have a really, really amazing Google friendly website. Absolutely. And that does have the potential to grow your practice. it can happen a lot sooner and a lot in a lot more authentic way as you go out and make connections, if you are going ahead and cultivating relationships. So all of these marketing strategies, they obviously work together. There's no doubt about that, but relationships are still at the core of the work that you do in the room every single day, and also at the root of lots of effective marketing and practice growth, particularly in the early stages of growing a practice. You may definitely find as you invest in cultivating relationships early on in your practice that multiple years on, the clients are essentially still coming. You're still staying in touch with people though. You're still staying curious. You're still staying connected. And so that job never ends. It just becomes a matter of maintaining relationships that hopefully you enjoy and are reciprocal for both of you and beneficial for everyone involved. So those 4 things, again, that my most successful clients are doing is, 1, they have a clear niche. They can clearly communicate the work that they do best, and they have deep messaging as a result, where clients literally read what they've written in their marketing or hear something about them, and they say, I know you're the therapist for me. I felt like you were talking right to me. I would say most of the clients I'm thinking of have received at least one referral where that has been said to them, which is one of the best feelings ever. 2, they're not getting distracted. They're staying focused on a few key strategies. They're committed to doing those things really well, and they don't get distracted, especially when slowdowns happen and when ebbs and flows in referrals come in. They know to expect them, and they know what to return to instead of feeling like they need to add and do more and more and more. They're staying in their zone of genius. When they recognize that they need some support in a particular area, they find it. They find ways to trim down their efforts so that their marketing can feel really authentic, and the way that they run their business can be as lean and mean as possible. And then finally, all of these clinicians are cultivating relationships. They are staying committed to the idea of connection, and of growing awareness of the work that they do, while also finding opportunities to refer into other colleagues, because that reciprocity ends up just sort of growing over time and getting more and more powerful. So those are the 4 things, friends. Any questions? I don't see any right now, but as you have been sitting here with me, any questions around these 4 things? Has something kind of piqued your interest or made you wonder anything? If you've got questions, I would love the opportunity to answer them. Otherwise, I'll give you some time back in your Friday and send you on your way. But I do love this opportunity to answer them if you've got them. I do also know that sometimes they're delayed. So Jen said, just want to say FYPF, which is the failure practice formula, was amazing. Jen, I'm so thrilled to hear that. I know you've been putting those things into action like crazy, doing all of these things. And I'm really excited to see how all of that continues to play out for you. So thank you for that. And I'm thrilled to know that was a useful resource. All righty. Well, I don't see any questions. If any come through. Oh, look, Jen said my one clinician we used it for got 3 new consults last week and all converted. I love that. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Thanks for sharing that with me, Jen. That's my takeaway win for Friday, that your clinician booked 3 new clients this week. Incredible. The process here really does work, and staying committed to just those couple of things, it really, really can work. So friends, thanks for being here. I hope this was useful for you. If a question does come in, I'll still be hanging out and around and happy to answer it. So please know that no matter what happens, whether we head into a recession next month or the economy bounces back, that your work is needed. The work you do is important. Your clients are still looking for you. And the best thing you can do is set yourself up for success with marketing that feels authentic, and that is really, really connecting and communicating your expertise. Right. Christopher Ward said working through FYPF also, and it's super helpful. Thanks. Website copy made easy. So thrilled to hear that. Lon, yes, you had your new intro video this week, and I can't wait to see how that serves you as well. So beautiful. So thanks everyone for being here. I sure appreciate y'all, and I'll talk to you soon.